as you know, my name is Randall Adcock. I'm the host of Finding Your Way and president of Wayfinders Business Cooperative, providing services to small businesses, nonprofits, and co-ops across Alberta and beyond. And so today we are very happy to have Gill Pegg here with us, talking about the ins and outs of bookkeeping for small businesses. And she's going to put that in the context of the accounting processes, as well as some of the important information that you need from your books to help you make smart decisions in business. And there may be someone who joins us a bit later as well, but we're going to go around the room right now because there aren't too many people. Just introduce yourselves by name and the type of business or the name of your business. Jane, you're unmuted, so do you want to start?
Sure. My name's Jane Willoughby, and I am a coach for couples and individuals who are having relationship challenges.
All right. And Payman?
Hello, my name is Peyman Asari and I work for ATV Financial as a data scientist.
Thank you. Alex?
Alex, I'm a mobile service technician that flies up to northern communities and fixes vehicles for them.
Oh, very good. Thank you. Dana?
Hi, Dana, my company name is Keep It Neat Professional Organizing, and I help people streamline and declutter their homes and their office spaces.
All right, thank you. And Paula, if you're there, can you introduce yourself? You're muted right now.
Sorry about that. My name is Paula. I am the founder for Clear Air Device. We are a e-commerce brand for sustainable products to eradicate viruses and disinfect spaces with eco-friendly solutions.
Very good. It's nice to see everybody's got their little introductions down so quick and pat and right to the point. Thank you all very much. Now, Peg is a professional bookkeeper who has moved from the north to Edmonton not too long ago. And she's a professional bookkeeper catering to small businesses in particular and nonprofits. But Gill, you can continue with the introduction, please.
Sure. So before I turn on the presentation here, I'll just tell you a little bit about me. So my name is Gill, and I founded Community Compass Accounting and Advisory. So I've been a bookkeeper working in accounting and finance for about 15 years now. I've been running my own business for just over 5 years. So I've worked with many different kinds of businesses. So whether it's sole proprietor, incorporated businesses, nonprofits, startups, I've kind of helped at every different level. When I was younger, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with my life and actually just fell into accounting and ended up really loving it. So I went back to school. I got a business diploma in accounting and payroll. And now here I am. So what I do like, or my goal is with bookkeeping and accounting, is to always make finances feel clear, doable, and empowering. I think the more knowledge you have, the more successful you can be. So that's it about me, and I can start the presentation if we're ready.
Very good. Please proceed.
Okay. Okay. Can
There
everybody
we
see
go.
my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So here's my presentation, Bookkeeping Basics for Small Business Owners. Okay. I already told you a little bit about me. Here is some of my contact information, which will also be at the end. So to get started, who is this presentation for? So it is for incorporated businesses or sole proprietors, anybody with a side hustle, nonprofits, and new or established businesses. Next, why most business owners avoid bookkeeping. Most people don't avoid bookkeeping because they're irresponsible. They avoid it because it feels overwhelming. There are a lot of rules, too many numbers, so many options and tools. And on top of that, there's usually a lot of fear, mostly fear of doing something wrong or being behind. So another big reason that most business owners were never taught bookkeeping is you're trained in your craft and then you're suddenly expected to be a financial person on top of that. Then we add in the time pressure and working with your clients and other operations. Life comes first. Bookkeeping kind of becomes the thing that you promise that you'll deal with later. So often later often turns into months or even years. This happens to most businesses that I do end up working with. So here's a bit of an overview of what we'll cover. We'll talk about what bookkeeping actually is, why it matters, the 5 pillars, how to set things up properly, common mistakes that I do see over and over again, and then a simple monthly routine for you to keep up with if you were doing it on your own. So first, the business structure basics. If you're running your own business, you often know these things, but I just want to go over it again. Because your business structure does directly affect your bookkeeping. While the basics are similar, so you're tracking everything, the money in, the money out, there are some differences. So they each have different tax rules. You know, you need a different bank account when you're an incorporated business, whereas as a sole proprietor, you are the business. Your structure affects your liability and your taxes. One of the problems I see is people not tracking everything properly or forgetting a lot of the important tasks. That creates the tax issues or CRA problems, unnecessary stress. It can end up making things a lot more expensive for somebody to fix that later on. Generally, the 2 different kinds of businesses I see are sole proprietors or incorporations. I have worked with nonprofits too. But these are the 2 main ones. So here are the differences between them. So as a sole proprietor, as I've said, you are the business. So you only need to use your personal account. You report all of the information on your personal taxes. It's a lot simpler setup, less compliance than if you were an incorporation. And so then on the flip side, as a corporation, the business is legally separate from you. So you get liability protection and more tax planning options. You have increased credibility, and you also take on more compliance. You now deal with the corporate tax returns or payroll and dividends. There's stricter record keeping borders and other deadlines like corporate returns. Neither option is better, but you just choose one that kind of fits your business right now. So, when can you DIY your own bookkeeping? You can make that choice for yourself, but usually you can do it when your business is new or you have very low transactions. Maybe when you don't have employees or payroll or no inventory. And if you're actually keeping up with it regularly. The danger with the DIY is not the doing, but falling behind and maybe not recording everything accurately. So, what is bookkeeping? Bookkeeping is simply the process of tracking what comes in, what goes out, and where it goes. It's organizing financial activity into something usable. So it gives you confidence and control, and it gives you the opportunity to then grow down the line. It's not just data entry, but it's the foundation of your entire business. So good decisions come from the data that you have. I often get asked, what is the difference between bookkeeping and accounting? Bookkeeping tracks and organizes. This is the data entry part of your business. Then the accounting part is analyzing and advising. So bookkeeping is the foundation, but then accounting is the strategy to build on top of it. Bookkeeping builds the data, accounting uses the data. So the purpose, bookkeeping can show you if you're profitable. It can prepare you for your taxes. It tracks your liabilities or debts. It helps catch overspending early or any other problems like missed revenue. It protects you during audits. It also makes working with an accountant far more efficient and far less expensive. Here is why it matters. The same as kind of the purpose, there are many reasons why it matters. The good bookkeeping gives you the confidence and removes all of the guesswork. So it allows you to speak to banks. It can get you loans or grants. And it's pretty noticeable when a business has a handle on their numbers because they do appear more organized. Now, the important stuff here, the 5 pillars, what I like to call the 5 pillars of bookkeeping. First, there's the recording transactions, reconciling accounts, organizing documents, reviewing your reports, which then ensures that you stay compliant. We will dive into each of these pillars separately in the next handful of slides to give you the broader information. So the first one, recording transactions. There are many different kinds of transactions in a month. There's a very long list here that I've included, but I'm only going to touch on a few of them. So your sales and revenue transactions, all the money that you earn, interest earned. There are expenses, so any money used to pay for your business activities. Then there are transfers like credit card payments or shareholder loans, or when you accidentally have a mix of personal and business charges that you need to record properly. Lastly, there are payroll transactions or payroll remittance transfers or GST remittances. If money moves, it has to be recorded. Missing even small activity creates inaccurate reporting. The next pillar, we have reconciling accounts. Now, this mainly applies to an incorporated business because you hold 2 different bank accounts. You have your personal account and then your business account. To reconcile that account, you use the statement. And so you wouldn't use a personal statement to do reconciliation, but through your business bank, you would have to. So reconciling just means that you're making sure that the bookkeeping software says what your bank statements say. So this is how you can catch any fraud or unauthorized payments. This is how you can correct any mistakes. This is how you can find any missing information that you can then record to make sure that your reports are more accurate. Next, we have organizing documents. So you need your receipts and invoices or payroll records, letters, statements. All of these should be saved and easily retrieved. So digital storage with backups is now the safest method for storage. You want these things at your fingertips because they can clear up any confusion. They have information on past events or, your inventory or supplies that you got can really break down what those numbers mean. They help your bookkeeper or your accountant make informed decisions. So the paperwork is the proof of the information presented. The next one is reviewing your financial reports. So there are a few different reports that you can look at monthly. One is the profit and loss. So this shows your performance. It clearly states if you've made or lost money in a certain period. Next is your balance sheet, and that shows stability and your true financial position. It can show how much cash you have or the debts you have and your overall financial health. Next is your aging AR or AP reports. So these show, the money that is still owed to you that you can collect on, or money that you do need to pay out either now or in the future. So keeping up to date with these does show cash flow potentials. When you're reviewing all of these reports, you do need to look for trends. So this can show, if you have pricing problems, if you can see if expenses are increasing. You can see if efficiency increased or decreased. Are you making or losing money consistently? These are really important to be able to make decisions. Now, in completing all of those pillars, they lead you to the final pillar, which is staying compliant. So this includes GST compliance or payroll remittances, T4s, corporate filings, there's workers' comp, business registrations like licenses or even annual returns. So compliance does protect your business and your personal liability. It can help you access loans if you needed them, and it prevents penalties or unexpected and unwanted fees, which really do add up in the long term. This is another one that I get asked often, what it is that you need to set up. What every business needs, no matter what kind, is a way to track your transactions. So if you are incorporated, you need separate bank accounts, you need to properly store documents, you need a way to provide invoicing or receipts, a way to collect revenue or the money owed to you. Most importantly, how you choose what to set up is based on your tax setup, your liabilities when it comes to your taxes, whether it be GST or corporate. So next, I do want to talk about the differences between spreadsheets and accounting software. So there is a cost to accounting software. So I am often asked, are spreadsheets good enough? Now, they can be useful and they can be good for small businesses or people who have very low transaction volume. They generally would run a much simpler business. It is not great for tax compliance. So accounting software is probably the best thing to use for an incorporated company or a business that is growing and has multiple tax liabilities. It keeps track of all your GST and your payroll and your corporate tax. So I know that, the cost can be pretty high, but depending on where you're at, it is well worth the money there. And then next, I want to talk about the add-ons. You'll see them everywhere. They'll advertise for Dext and HubDoc and, receipt scanners or receipt storage. Now, none of these are necessary to get. They may sound like they work well, but that is a personal decision. So the only thing you need is to find a system that works for you, that can keep you organized and consistent. That is what's most important. You don't need any fancy tools to do that. One thing that I would recommend, though, is cloud storage. So nowadays, the CRA does accept digital records. Now, about a decade ago, that wasn't really the case. So I remember 10 years ago, I got a call while I was at work from a business who was looking for some invoices and payment information that they needed for their business because, unfortunately, they were chosen for an audit by the CRA. Now, the year before, their whole building had burnt to the ground, so they did not have one shred of paper. 10 years ago, it wasn't very common to keep everything stored online. And you didn't have the option. The CRA required physical copies at that point. Now that they do accept digital, it makes it a lot easier to keep all of these things organized and for a long period of time. And just as a reminder, you do need to keep all documents for 7 years. Okay. Now, here are some of the most common mistakes that I see. So there's the mixing of the personal and business finances. As an incorporated business, you do need to have a separate account. As a sole proprietor, you don't, and everything goes through your personal account. But you should have a way to keep track of what your business expenses would be. Now, mixing them is trackable in your software. It's just a bit of a more complicated process, and it's easy to miss those things. The second mistake that I commonly see is people losing receipts or not keeping the proper receipts. So you need these receipts to prove GST. And without the receipt, you should not be recording the GST. Now, this means that you are missing out on the input tax credit, right? You have the GST that you charge and collect, and then you have the GST that you pay, which are the input tax credits. And the difference between the two is what is owed to you from the government or what you give to the government. So missing out on those often means that you're missing out on money that you don't have to pay. Next mistake is doing everything at tax time. So rushing can lead to mistakes and high stress. Having to run around, needing something done quickly, needing someone to clean it all up costs a lot of money, which is why doing everything regularly will really keep you on the up and up. Another mistake I see is misclassifying expenses. Each business has a chart of accounts that has all of the accounts that your business uses to track everything that happens. Now, the chart of accounts has the assets and the liabilities. There's revenue and expense accounts. Being familiar with those is important. Knowing how to code certain expenses is also really important. And then lastly, not reviewing your reports. So it's really hard to make any decisions if you don't know where you stand at any given time. Mistakes can cost you a lot over time. It costs real money. Penalties or the missed deductions, cleanups are expensive. They also cost the opportunity of growth, underpricing or delayed hiring. Cash flow emergencies really put people in a bind often. Fixing months or years of errors not only costs a lot of money, but can take a lot of time. Now, next thing, this is what your monthly routine should look like. So when you think back to the 5 pillars of bookkeeping, here is the routine that you should implement to hit all of those pillars. So this is a generalized list of things to do in a monthly routine. So once a month, you can download the statements, make sure to save them, file them properly, file them away. You need to upload all of your receipts, again, for document organization in order to have access to all of your documents to back them up. You do need to upload them all. Make sure that you categorize all the transactions and transfers, any of the things happening. Next, you would then use a statement to reconcile the accounts. So match, they have to match equally. In your software, it'll show you to look through all of the transactions that you posted to reconcile them to the bank account so that you know for sure where you're sitting. If your bank balance and your software balance don't match, that means that something is wrong. Next, again, you need to review your reports, and then depending on which month you're working in, oftentimes you need to file GST quarterly, and so that's due the following month after the quarter. Monthly, you would have payroll remittance if you do have staff. Now, sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Next, here are some signs that you should hire help. So you should really consider hiring help if you're behind, or if you're confused or stressed, or if you're growing a lot. These are all signs that it's time to bring in professional support. Another way to know if you need to hire help is when you don't have time to do what you do best because you're spending the time trying to figure out your own bookkeeping. There is another option, one that's less talked about and I think less offered, but there is hybrid bookkeeping. And this could be the first step to hiring out if you still wanted some control of your own bookkeeping. So you get to control the transactions and then have a professional review them, reconcile, make any corrections, and ensure that everything is compliant. This could be a little bit more affordable for a smaller business. And making sure that you have that support to know that you're on the right track can get you a lot further. Now, just a friendly reminder that you don't have to be perfect, but consistency is the most important. Just a little bit of attention every month builds huge confidence over time. So, my final thoughts here. You need to set up your systems early, as soon as you possibly can. You need to review your numbers regularly. You need to stay consistent. And remember, support is a smart business decision. You don't have to do it alone. And if you'd like help, you can visit my website, book a discovery call, or even just send me an email. I'd be happy to talk you through some levels of support that could make running your business a little easier. That's all I have for you right now, and I guess we can move into the Q&A. Randall?
Thank you, Gill. That was excellent. You covered a lot of ground in short order, and it all made sense together.
Oh, good. I was hoping not to throw too much information, but there's a lot kind of to cover, so I'm just going to stop sharing now.
All right. I've got a noisy cat here. So we're going to open the floor to anyone who has questions, and surely there must be questions, because bookkeeping is not everyone's, let's say, kettle of fish. I have a deep, profound respect for bookkeeping, do it for wayfinders, but I don't enjoy it. But I have over time become sufficiently proficient, and I have, again, a profound respect for the importance of bookkeeping. So the floor is now open for anyone who has questions, perhaps how it applies to your own business, for example. You have to unmute yourself before you're able to open up with the questions. I have one question for you myself. That is regarding GST and other accounts with the federal government. Are you able to help your clients to set up those accounts?
Yeah, absolutely. So as when you do incorporate, you then get your business number through the CRA. And then once you have that, setting up those accounts through CRA are really easy. And then setting them up through your software would just be the next step. And it can be, a bit of a lengthier process, but it's easy. I can definitely support in that.
All right. And on this point of the software versus doing it on, let's say, an Excel spreadsheet or something like that, what's the main advantage of moving beyond the spreadsheet to dedicated accounting or bookkeeping software?
personally, I think it's just a lot easier to compile the information. Your software creates those reports for you that you need to look at. It's easier to track, your aged receivables or payables than it is looking through a spreadsheet. It's really good for, the liabilities that you have if you have a business credit card or even, your corporate tax that needs to be kept track of separately from payroll tax, payroll remittances if you have it, or the GST. And so the software easily keeps track of all of that. Whereas in in spreadsheets, a lot of information doesn't make it easy to use.
Right.
And incorporated businesses, generally, no matter what size a business that you have, would probably be better to use software because it holds prior year balances, right? Things that need to come forward.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay. Is there do you know if there's an open source software for bookkeeping meaning that so that people don't incur a monthly fee for use of the software?
Not, so I have heard of one and I haven't used it.
Hmm.
And I'm just trying to remember the name of it now. It might be called Wave. I'll have to look into it because I don't remember the name off the top of my head, but I know that there is a free version for that. Besides that, I don't think so. Now, most softwares do have different pricing tiers, right? And so even as a sole proprietor, right, there are kinds that you can pay half the cost of, let's say, a premium or extreme set.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Once again, we'll go to the group to see if there are any questions.
I have a question
Mhm.
Go ahead.
concerning your modus operandi. I have a question on that. So, how do you operate?
What is the process to work with me?
Right.
Yeah. So I actually do have a page on my website labeled How It Works that can give you a lot more information on that. So to kind of tie into then the question about how do you stay accurate, each business is different. So it would start with a discovery call. I would need to take a look at what you already have set up, what you've been doing, what's working, what's not working, and then make a plan going forward. So I've worked with businesses that I needed to look into their books 4 times a week, right? I've had other ones who had 15 transactions over an entire quarter. So I would only need to look at it quarterly. Somewhere in the middle would be just looking at it monthly to do those reconciliations. So there isn't just one clear path. It's very dependent. And now the fees, again, is dependent on the business. And so I do like to use the value added model. So it's generally a monthly fee, depending on what it is that you need, how much support you need. Obviously, to do a DIY bookkeeping hybrid scenario would cost less than if I were to do all of the work myself. Now, there's also a difference between doing the data entry, if that's something if that's the only thing that somebody would need, or, do you need support? Do you need me to look at what the trends are? Do you need me to tell you what I see? Do you need me to tell you, that maybe you should be charging a little bit more for this service or finding something that costs a little less, right? So there's so many different levels that there isn't one single price. It's very dependent. I'm just wondering if that answered all of your questions.
Yeah.
Okay, are there other questions? We've still got some time here. It's an opportunity to gain a further understanding in your business books. If there are no more questions, I have a question for you, getting back to the importance of bookkeeping and what you can learn from good statements that you've produced.
Mhm.
Yeah, income statement, which sometimes is called a profit and loss statement, and the balance sheet. Could you elaborate a bit more on some of the key things that you learn from those statements that can help you with your business decisions?
Absolutely. So the profit and loss, which used to be just called an income statement, only shows you your revenue and then minus your cost of goods if you have them, minus all of your expenses, gives you a final number. So that's either a profit at the end of a period, and it could be per month, per quarter, per year. Or it can show a loss if you lost money. Now, what the profit and loss doesn't show you and what the balance sheet does is cash flow, right? All your cash shows how much cash you have sitting in the bank on a balance sheet. It also shows you how much money you still owe to some of your suppliers. Now, those numbers could be in your profit and loss, but your profit and loss doesn't tell you if you have paid that or not. It's just recording the expense. So the balance sheet will then show, did it come out of the bank account, which then affects your cash, or is it sitting there in your liabilities still to be paid? That's where also you would find your assets. So if you have any equipment, depreciation on that. It shows the value of your business. So they do kind of go hand in hand. The income statement doesn't give you a full picture. It just tells you if you've made money or lost money in a certain period.
Right. And some of the software, and perhaps it can be done in spreadsheet as well, will generate graphs, I believe. Is that correct? That show the trends in your sales or your revenue or your expenses, so you can get a more intuitive sense of whether your company is becoming more profitable or losing money.
Yeah, definitely. I know, I believe it's QuickBooks, that does show graphs like that. Now, those are only useful if all of the information is accurate, right? So when people miss half their transactions, it really doesn't give you any information at all. But as a visual aid, it can be very helpful for people to see where they are sitting, where they have been, and where they're going.
Are there other things that you might have covered if you'd had more time in your formal presentation?
I guess the one thing that is missing from a presentation like this, it is how to do it, right? And so, I talked about document storage or document organization. Now that can also look different for every single business, right? Are you filing things digitally by month? Is it by supplier? Is it, revenue and expenses? There's so many different ways to do it. And how are you going to label those documents, right? You want them to probably be in order, right? You want information in the title that will let you know what it is that you're looking for. It also helps in, if you're storing things like this in a Google Drive, you can do a search into Google Drive and it will pull up documents that have those keywords in it, right? So that's one of the lessons. And then even so actually recording, right? So you're trying to enter your receipts, right? All the things that you need to look for, right? It's really important to put a reference number on it, even from a debit receipt. Find a number on there that matches the receipt to that actual transaction, right? You look at the GST. So yeah, the actual practical part of it, I guess, is obviously what was missing from a presentation like this. And I guess a little bit more information on what assets are and what liabilities are. The actual, let's say, terms that are used in my field.
All right. One thing that I've come up against is that there are people who call themselves bookkeepers who really don't seem to know what they're doing. It's not like the accounting world where there's strict professional associations that regulate their members, and you can count on them as knowing what they're doing. But bookkeeping seems to be more open-ended. Is that right? And
It is. Yeah.
how can a small business person know that they can count on their a bookkeeper that they're looking at?
Sure. So there are organizations like the Canadian Bookkeepers, I don't know, business, where you can register, and some of them do offer courses and tests that you do have to pass in order to be certified. Sometimes you do need post-secondary education, sometimes you don't. Now, I have gotten, I would say, 95% of my clients by word of mouth, right? People who I've worked with can attest to what I can do. And that would be the same with other bookkeepers, right? There's also, depending on your level of support that you want, would determine what level of bookkeeper that you do. There are some who mostly just do data entry. And if that's all you needed, then that would be okay. But if you need that kind of support, you do need somebody with the knowledge, and you would probably have to work your way through a few different people before you found one that maybe fit you best.
Right, and that's what we're trying to do with Wayfinders Business Cooperative, is to create a business ecosystem of trust and respect,
Yep.
where the reputation follows you, so that we don't have people who are, let's say, fly-by-night operators.
Yep.
Yeah. So Alex, Dana, Paula, anyone else got any more questions? Alex?
Yeah. If you were to start an incorporated business, what would be the first three things that you would do?
That's a good question. So there's a few different ways to go about it, but let's say the main thing is you need to have your business idea, right? You need to know what you want to do and how you're going to operate. Next, you would actually need to get incorporated. And so that would be done through corporate registries. Like, I'm incorporated in Alberta, and so I had to file all of the paperwork that gives them all the information. I got the stamp of incorporation to then start operating. From there, then you need to set up. So software is a big one, right? Or a way to invoice, a way to accept money or pay money, so the software and bank account kind of go hand in hand. And then you should be ready to kind of get going.
It was my understanding that in the past, in Alberta anyway, if you want to incorporate, you pretty well had to have a lawyer, but a lot of people are doing it on their own now. Isn't that right?
That's right. Yeah, you can do it on your own. There's also other companies who do it, like AMA, for example. They do corporate registries.
Oh,
Yeah, so you can get your information to them, and they're going to file it and all that stuff. You pay them a fee. They will then also remind you annually that it's time for your corporate return, right? Which you need to do with year-end documents, right? So yeah, you can do it by yourself. The annual returns are much simpler than, incorporating a business. It's generally, a couple pages, and then you file it. So yeah, I can't really speak to how it was before, but it is very simple now.
all right. Are there any other questions, Dana or Paula? Now, a lot of small business today don't have, physical inventory unless they're in retail.
That's right.
But inventory is another matter, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's actually not even something that I've run into very much. In 15 years of bookkeeping, I've only done maybe 3 retail. Yeah, about 3. So I haven't run into it very often, but it is its own separate thing, a whole extra set of things that you would need to do if you had inventory.
Right. And payroll is another issue that a lot of home-based businesses don't have to deal with.
That's right.
sole proprietors and so on.
Yep.
But
As a sole I just want to mention too, as a sole proprietor, you can also have a payroll number. You can have staff and put them on payroll that way, do your remittances and all that stuff. Only you cannot put yourself on payroll because you are a sole proprietor. As an incorporated business, you can have a payroll number, you can have staff, but you can also put yourself on payroll. That means that tax liability, there's still the portion that's yours, but then there's the portion that belongs to the business. Right? It's now their responsibility to pay that and remit it to the government, right? And so as a self-employed person, generally at the end of a tax year, right, you get this big tax bill, you got your CPP to pay and your income tax and all that. If you put yourself on payroll in your incorporated business, that's taken care of as if you had a job. You're just doing it yourself, right, through the business.
Right. That's an important distinction there
Mhm.
in the bookkeeping and accounting between sole proprietor and incorporations.
Yeah.
All right. Dana or Paula, one more time, or Alex, anyone? All right. Do you want to just drop your contact information into chat? If
Yeah, absolutely.
and they can copy it from the chat and go to your website or email. And this recording will be posted on YouTube under our Wayfinders channel. And we'll be also posting a link to it from our website, which is wayfinders.biz. And I'll put that in too. But we're wrapping up now, and I want to say thank you, Gill, for the excellent presentation. You made something that is often very difficult and, well,
Unenjoyable, maybe?
unenjoyable. That's a
Yeah,
good.
I get it.
You've made it much easier to approach and get into it.
Thank you for
Right.
asking me to be here. It was great.
Hey, thank you, and thank you all for coming here today.
Okay, thank you, Randall. Bye-bye.
Bye.